Hello, I am Becky. I'm your ladies cycling enthusiast. I'm here today to give you a video about cleats and pedals. And they are such a conundrum when you first start cycling. So I've got a few examples here with me and obviously a written blog as well that will go with this. So you've started cycling, you've started maybe going a little bit further, and you've heard from a few friendly cyclists that maybe you should start wearing the clip-in pedals, and that's what I mean when I say cleats. So let's dig down into this a little bit. What actually do you need when you first come into this? Why should you go to cleats? I mean, you've been doing fine with trainers. The main sort of selling point, I suppose, with getting cleats is that they give you a little bit more power and stability on the bike when you are going in various different terrains. So if you are cycling up a hill, you have got imagine these are your feet going round on the pedals. You want your feet flat all the way through rather than pointing down to the floor. That's your number one tip. Cycling, as you're in trainers, you get a really good push down on the pedal, but you don't get any pull up because you can't really do that in trainers, even if you have the little cages over the front of your shoe. So that's where cleats come in. That's where they're quite helpful because they give us power all the way through. So push down, pull up, push down, pull up. That cleat is attached to the pedal, and that's where it is most helpful. Let's talk through what you need to get started, and then I'll go through my top tips for getting on the bike with cleats. So you will need some pedals. There are various different pedals that you can have on the bike. These ones are by a brand called Look. There are also Shimano ones, and you can get SPD, smaller metal square ones, which mountain bikers tend to use a little bit more. But really, any of these, you just pick what you think suits you the most. Okay, I wouldn't get too hung up on it. You might just be road cycling, in which case you might want to use these Look ones or the Shimano SPD SL pedals, but see what fits for you. There are some variants which are double-sided, which can be really helpful when you first start cycling. They have a pedal around them which would fit and is big enough for your trainer to go on, and then within that big pedal you have a smaller attachment called the SPD attachment. So that's kind of, you really just pick whatever brand you want. It's a bit like everything, isn't it, in life? Pick with whichever brand and you stick with that, okay? So if I buy a Look set of pedals, I buy the special cleats that goes on the bottom of my shoe that will clip in to this pedal. So whatever you do, you just buy the compatible variation, okay? So this attaches to the bottom of my shoe, where on your road cycling shoes, there will be some holes, okay? So these are road cycling shoes with 3 holes underneath. You will have other shoes that may have 3 holes and also 2 in the middle. They're just different bolt systems for different types of cleat attachment, which will then slot into whichever pedal attachment you have chosen. So I would go ahead by placing this cleat on the bottom of my shoe over the holes, and then I insert my little washer into the hole that is around in the cleat attachment, and then a screw into the bottom of the shoe. So it ends up the shoe with the cleat attached into the bottom of the shoe. Feel like I'm on Blue Peter because here's one I made earlier. This is a different type of system called the SPD SL system. So it's slightly similar to the Look one that we just showed you in red, just a variant in size and shape. But this is what it looks like when it's attached onto the bottom of your shoe, and you get it in a good position for your foot within the ball of your foot. Okay, so you attach that onto the bottom of your shoe. That is then ready when you are cycling to clip into the pedal and then help you in that full pedal turn as you cycle. Okay. Now, the two variations that I've just shown you there were the road shoe cleat and pedal systems. The other one I mentioned was a smaller bolt attachment called the SPD attachment. And on here, you can see this is the 2-bolt system, okay? And this is a slightly different shoe. You can see it's a little bit bulkier. And this little inset has trainer attachment really around it, so that all of this is in line. Okay, so you're not having to walk on the plastic bit, which is from your cleat. Hopefully that makes sense. But this is the SPD mountain bike type attachment, much smaller, and you can get these ones within a full pedal if you wish, as a double-sided one. So then it means that your bike, you can ride it with your trainers, or you can ride it with your cycling shoes as well. So it doesn't really matter which one you choose. We've got these variations in types of cleats. The way that they attach onto the shoe is with their particular bolt. You just need some variation of an Allen key for that, and you just screw it in just to finger tight. The main things I wanted to remind you was that these cleats do wear out. So when you're clipping in and pulling out all the time, clipping in, pulling out, the plastic around the top wears, which you'll be able to see on this shoe, and at the bottom. So it gets a little bit more difficult to clip in, or it's very easy to suddenly clip out because these have worn and they don't sit within the pedal as easily. So you change these over time, depending on how worn they got. It's not like trainers, so don't worry about, oh, I've done 500K, I must change them. Really doesn't matter. It's just when you look at them and you think, oh yeah, they're not sort of sitting as well in the pedal. Okay, so they get changed fairly regularly, depending on your bike riding and how much you kind of walk around and prance around at coffee shops in them as well. So they're your kind of maintenance things with them. In terms of actually, do any of them give you more control or less control than other pedal systems? Really, they're much of a muchness. It depends on the kind of riding you're doing. There are one other brand that you can get, which I don't have any of as an example, but I will put some pictures in the blog. It's called Speed Play. So it's a very small circular pedal, which again has the system a little bit differently. The system is more on the bottom of your shoe, and it just clips onto the circular pedal. So it's the same principle really, but just a slightly different manifestation of it. So you've clipped in, you've got your cleats, you've got your shoes, and you've got the pedals all sorted. Okay. Now, when you are cycling and you're really starting to get into using these cleats and pedals and all that, the most daunting thing is falling off. So I'll give you some of my top tips. Number one, if you are suddenly starting to go from trainers into clipped in cycling shoes, you will probably, I'd say 90% of us fall off at some point. So you have to go in thinking this will happen at some point. When I get to a junction, I will clip one foot out of my pedal, and it might be successful, it might not be successful. There will be a point where you have a fall. We only learn by doing, we're humans, so you have to go into it understanding that that will happen, okay? And it's happened to me, happens to everybody that I know, okay? You'll do it a couple of times and then you won't do it again. The best thing you want to decide when you first start getting into this is which foot feels more natural to clip out from, because you have to be able to kind of pull your heel out first so that the pedal releases the cleat, if that makes sense. So you need to think which foot feels most comfortable to do that with. Practice with both. It's really up to you. because what you will do is you will clip one foot out, place that foot on the road while you wait at traffic lights, and your other foot will remain clipped in. Then as you push forwards when the traffic lights go green, you then have to be able to get your foot back into the pedal, okay? Some of us are right-footed, some of us are left-footed. Pick which variation suits you. Some people say it's better to clip your left foot out because then if you do fall, you're not going to fall into oncoming traffic, which is fair point. But again, I know people that do it with the other side and it's fine. So pick which side you want to clip out from. Practice with your bike. If you have a turbo or stationary, turbo inside, practice there. Some gyms have cleat systems built into their pedals as well on spin bikes, so you could always practice it there as well. Now, then you want to start thinking about doing it out on the road. I went out when I first learned how to do it. I did it with one trainer and one clipped in shoe. So you just do little mini loops of the block up and down the drive, wherever you are, on the busway, wherever you want, but make sure that you just practice, clipping in, clipping out. And if you've got, say, I have chosen my left shoe to be the one that's going to clip out of the pedal, I'm going to have my right trainer on the other pedal, just in case, okay? So I'm going to have the right shoe down, I'm going to clip in and out on my left if I can. Sometimes you'll clip in, you'll clip out with your left, and then you'll accidentally lean over to the right. And that's where the trainer comes in handy, because you'll suddenly be able to pop your foot out onto the floor because it's not clipped in, and you can just sort of get yourself ready and raring again. It's also good when you're cycling to try on both sides, because you'll have one more dominant leg that feels much better when it's clipped in, and you'll be able to pull up and push through that pedal turn. So play around, whatever suits you, build up the distance of going with one clipped in shoe and one trainer, so you're kind of covered for both. And then when you know that you are ready to go on to cleats, both shoes, the next thing I can recommend is that most of the pedal systems will have a little Allen key at the back where you can tighten it or loosen the system. So this is the sort of spring system that holds that cleat, holds that shoe clipped into place, okay? You can loosen these off on pedal systems. So that will say plus or minus, turn it towards the minus, it loosens that spring so it's not as tight holding it within that cleat pedal system. So you really want to know that, so it makes it easier for you to clip out as well, okay? That's my other top tip. Then I would say go out on a quiet road and with both of your shoes clipped in, and just practice stopping and starting, stopping and starting. If it's easiest, go to an industrial estate where there's not going to be any cars at the weekend and try that, going in and out and in and out. And then slowly build it up onto a route that you know. Maybe you know exactly where all the corners are and you know where all the lights are and stuff, something that's not going to catch you unawares. Build up that distance, build up your own confidence, and then continue to do so. And it will happen, as I said, you will probably fall off. I bet my money on it for most people. You'll get to the confident part. You'll have done it with both cleats. You'll have done it on routes that you know, and then you go out with a friend and you're chatting away. Suddenly you think, oh gosh, there's, somebody walks out at a junction, because we can't tell that that's going to happen. Somebody walks out at a junction and you think, oh my gosh, I've got to clip out really, really quickly. And most of the time you'll get it done and you'll pull that foot out and you'll be fine. And sometimes you don't. And sometimes you might think, oh my gosh, I have to pull the brakes on and have a slow controlled fall. So yeah, I can't say that won't happen. And I need you to go into this thinking it's a skill. I need to know that it will happen and I will probably fall off, but it's okay. So long as I'm with friends, so long as your people know where you are, where you're going, that kind of stuff. It's never going to be a high speed fall, because most of the time you're braking, you're pulling up to a set of lights and you just accidentally clip out the wrong foot, and then you lean the other way and your other foot's still clipped in, and then you end up under the bike looking a little bit awkward on the road. Hopefully that has helped. And I really, really, really hope that I've not knocked your confidence. I really want you to get out and try these because they make such a difference to our cycling. They make such a difference when we're going uphill, and they can really, really help all of us get that little bit of free speed, a little bit of marginal gains on the bike, and just gain confidence. Once you've got the hang of them, they are fantastic, and they will really, really make a difference to the way your legs feel, the control that you have of the bike, everything. I can promise that. Anyway, have a go and enjoy, and just pick the shoes and the cleats that are right for you. Thank you. Bye.